Thank you for listening to the podcast and allowing me to share these incredible stories. You can hear new stories every week on Amazon Music and ad-free for Amazon Prime members.
I'm Benjamin Hall, and I'm searching for heroes.
Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. It's a pleasure to have you with us today. Our guest today is someone really special. He's someone who, like many of our guests, has two very distinct parts to his life. First of all, he had a very successful military career. He was in the Special Forces, he was a Green Beret, and he was deployed all over the world. He was honored numerous times. But on his last deployment to Afghanistan in 2009, an IED destroyed the vehicle that he and four of his teammates were in. Everyone in that vehicle was killed that day. Everyone except for our guest, Levi Rodgers. Levi, though, was severely wounded by the attack, and he was brought to the same hospital that I was treated in San Antonio, the Brooke Army Medical Center, for extensive recovery. And his life changed very much at that point. The military was no longer an option for him. He had little money. He found himself in a pretty dark place. But he found a way through that. He found resilience. And in the name of those team members who died, he went out and he got a job in real estate. And he grew it, and he kept growing it. And he ended up creating his own real estate company, the Levi Rodgers Real Estate Group. That company today is one of the most successful real estate companies in the country. It is a huge success story. He employs countless people, including the friend who saved his life back in Afghanistan. And now he focuses his passion for serving others, for helping the community, and giving back every single day in memory of his crew. He is a man who lost almost everything, but went out and created something amazing. It is the very definition of resilience and bravery. And it is a great, great pleasure to have Levi Rodgers on with us today as a guest. Levi, what a great pleasure to speak to you today. Thanks so much for joining the podcast. And you and I share something in common. You and I were both treated at BAMCI, the Brooke Army Medical Center. And I know that we share a great passion for that place.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The place changed my life. The people that are behind the doors over there are just truly special. And, it's the miracles that I've been able to witness over there are just phenomenal. And it had a great impact on my life. But, being able to witness the impact it's had on others has also been pretty profound,
Yeah. I wonder if you could take us back, first of all, to your own story and what happened to you. You were a Green Beret. I know you were in Afghanistan 2009. Can you start off there?
Absolutely. And so on the 15th of September of 2009, I was serving as a commander of a United States Army Special Forces A team, the Green Berets. And we were returning from an operation in southwest Afghanistan, very close proximity to the Iranian border. And unfortunately, the vehicle that we were traveling in, we had struck an improvised explosive device, an IED. Unfortunately, everybody in the vehicle, with the exception of myself, were killed. And I survived. I was medically evacuated to San Antonio, Texas, at the burn center. I had a lot of burns and then also a lot of orthopedic injuries. Fortunately, I didn't lose any limbs, just a lot of internal injuries just due to the blast. I was in a coma for about 6 weeks and then woke up in San Antonio. And at that point, I still had no idea what had happened. And so it was a pretty wild ride, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I mean, talk to me about that moment, your first thoughts when you woke up. Presumably did you know what had happened to you at that point? What were you aware of?
So it was really scary. And when I think about it, sometimes I get teared up because there was about a week when nobody told me what happened. And so I woke up it was an induced coma. So it was partially them taking me off the meds and then me just coming to. And I noticed I was in the ICU. There was pictures of my two sons all over the walls, and which was very, very neat. So I knew something had happened. But then immediately in that moment, I saw pictures of my boys there, which was helpful. I knew something bad had happened. I didn't know where I was. One of the nurses came in and told me, "Hey, you're in San Antonio, Texas. You're at the burn center." I immediately got really angry. Where are my guys? Where are my guys? I'm screaming. They got to the point where they had to strap me down. I had to bring people in. Because I know who I am. I'm an Army Green Beret, and I was a commander of this A team. And my last memory was in Afghanistan, and now I'm here in South Texas in the burn center. So I know something must have happened. And for about a week, nobody told me what happened, and it was probably some of the longest, darkest times of my life. And the unit had flown in a friend of mine and a gentleman that I had a tremendous amount of respect for, retired Sergeant Major Pete Havoc. They flew him in to break the news, and what they did was coordinated a phone call with my team in Afghanistan to share with me what had happened. And
so was that the point at which you found out? Did you not realize that the rest of your team had died until they told you?
Right. That was the point. And so I'll never forget the guy that was in charge after I left. He's on the phone and he's like, "Hey, Chief, we lost him." And I'm like, "We lost who?" It was a very emotional phone call. And I didn't know. And then he's like, "Brad, Sean, Josh, and Rasul, they all passed away." And it was probably the darkest day of my life to realize that 4 men that I committed to their families and to them to bring them home, that they died under my direction, and I lived. And I think that as I went on my journey through the ups and downs of it all, it was that feeling right there, that burden of command, that feeling of responsibility that is really put the most weight on me. And I wear this bracelet every day of my life. I don't go anywhere without it. I carry a backup in my backpack just in case something happens to this one. But it's in memory of those men. And that was a very difficult time to realize again that 4 men lost their lives under my direction, and I lived. And
I feel you. We went out that day in Ukraine, and that was my story. I was leading that team. I was deciding where we were going, and same thing happened. For the 4 other people in the car died. And I remember that moment when I found out as well, was being evacuated, and I was asking where they were. And no one would tell me for a while. And then just remember that sinking feeling. And it does 2 things to me, and I wonder if it does to you as well. One of them is I remember it every single day, but it also encourages me every single day. I know for a fact that they would want me to keep doing as best as I can, keep spreading and helping others. And so it makes me terribly sad, but it also really motivates me to go and do more. I wonder if you feel both of those.
Absolutely. It didn't come right away, though. I started to become that veteran we read about that was in rapid decline, the veteran that is taking pain pills and about to succumb to his or her demons, per se, as we like to say in the community. And it wasn't till that I realized that the best thing that I could do to honor their memory was to live the most amazing life as humanly possible.
What was it that changed that? Like, how did you stop yourself? And that's what I'm so interested in, is it's resilience. And some people aren't able to do that. And you were. Why? Was it a moment? What did that?
I think that if I had to throw a dart at one moment, I was having a very bad time. I was in a position to where, I was transitioning out of the military. I was financially not in a good place. Psychologically, I wasn't in a good place. I never knew really how I acted that night, how I performed that night on the battlefield. And I was with a psychologist at the VA, and he had made the recommendation, said, "Hey, do you have any of your teammates that we could bring in?" And I said, "Well, hey, the guy that pulled me out of the vehicle and played a big part in saving my life, Pedro, he's in San Antonio. Let me see if he can come in." And we brought Pedro in, and Pedro explained to me and to the psychologist there at the same time that that night I wasn't a coward, and I was there worried about my men, and I was fighting all the way to the point that they evacuated me. And it was that moment that really helped turn things for me. And that session with that one psychologist, you know, it made me realize that I needed to use this situation as fuel to go do good and honor their memories. At the end of the day, if the four families that lost their loved ones that night looked at the one person that survived that night, and he went to be a homeless vet that was addicted to drugs, that like they would look at me as the one person that survived that night did nothing with his life.
Yeah.
Or they could look at me and say, "Hey, look, the one person that survived that night did everything that he could possibly do with his life. And every step of the way, he carried."
Oh man, I know it's tough. Yeah.
He carried their honor and legacy of those men with them. And that's what I'm doing.
More of our conversation right after this. Can you tell us a little bit about each of them?
Yeah. So Brad Boley, he was one of our medics. Really great guy, very charismatic, good looking guy, and very funny. And Brad, he was a father, and just a wonderful guy to have on a team. Sean McCluskey, he has two kids, and and they've grown to be wonderful young adults. And Sean just joined our team right before that trip, and so he was newer to the team. And Josh Mills, he was the youngest on our team, and so he had just had a young son named Malachi, and he was recently married to his wife Megan. And Josh was very special to me just because he was one of the younger dudes on the team. And then our interpreter Rasul, like all Afghan interpreters, a lot of them made the news when the whole collapse of the Afghan government happened. He was right there with the Special Forces A team leading the charge from a very important operation. We weren't down on the border of Iran just roasting marshmallows. We were doing some really important stuff, and and right there along with us to help us communicate everything was our interpreter. And all these men died doing something that they loved, and it's also important to know that all of us, were either injured or of those of us who were injured or killed, that happened knowing full well the hazards of our chosen profession, and so although it's not the ending to the story that any of us wants, it's something that we accept by being part of this community and putting ourselves in harm's way for something that we love. And so I just intend every single day of my life, I wake up with intentions and how can I honor the memory of these men and their families every single day. And, that's what I've gone on to do.
Do you speak to their children? I mean, and how do you talk to them about it?
Yeah, so I've spoke with a few of them on occasions, and some of us are closer than others, and so most recently we had a dinner about a year ago with one of the families, and I was able to meet his children, Sean's children, and that was that was really good for all of us, I think. And and in some of the families, maybe they've they've taken new steps in their journey as well. And I imagine it's a difficult thing as a family member to go through, and it's something I've never experienced. It's so I respect that. I respect that. If they reach out, we'll talk. If not, I'm not trying to be too aggressive to bring up bad memories.
But you have gone on and you have done incredible things. You have turned your life around. Talk to us a little bit about what you've built and the business you're in.
So thank you. Yes, I have a real estate company here in San Antonio, Texas. We are also in Austin and Killeen, Texas. We have about 300 people. I started out through the inspiration of a real estate agent that took care of me in my journey. And so I was like, I want to do what he did for me to help other military families and veterans. And so,
because that's quite interesting. If you could to talk about that a little, because you said that someone came to help you, and that's what you now give back. And talk to me about that one moment where this guy really helped you.
Yeah, so when I was a young soldier, I bought a house. I was 21 years old and bought a house in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And I was just doing like what any soldier was doing that wanted to buy a house. I called a real estate agent and did what they told me to do and used my VA loan to do what they told me to do. The house I called that man on, it was a trailer, like a double wide trailer. And it was, I liked it. I thought it was cool. But he explained to me, hey, this is going to go down in value, not up. Now, that was, in 1999, I believe is when when that happened. Anyways, I just listened to him. I didn't know. I wasn't a real estate investor. I just listened to this man that had a nice car and bought me a lunch, and I did what he said. So he took me to another place and said, hey, buy this house. Walmart just bought the land around this area. The upside potential is far greater. Plus, it's not a trailer. And so I said, okay. And I did it. It was a $58,000 VA loan. And I just lived there through the rest of my military career with my family. Well, fast forward to the time I spoke of earlier, where I'm really down in the dumps. I'm running into financial trouble and everything. A friend of mine said, hey, Levi, you should sell that house. And so that's when I reached back out to that real estate agent, Gary. And I'll never forget that phone call. Gary, he was like, he remembered me. And he was like, hey, Levi, how are you doing? And I was like, well, about that, I'm not doing so hot right now. What do you think that house you sold me is worth? And he was like, oh, at least $150,000 more than you paid for it. And I'm doing math in my head. And I'm like, whoa, that's more money than I ever thought I'd ever have. So I realized that 30 seconds of honesty from a complete stranger, a real estate agent, it just was about to have such a huge impact in my life. It was going to get me out of debt, and it was going to give me a new beginning per se. Because at the end of the day, if I ran out of money and I lost a house and I wasn't able to provide, it would probably serve as a catalyst to send me further down the hill that I was going down. And so, but this rapidly turned me around. And so, while it was still a lot of work and still looking for a new direction here in San Antonio, I was like, wait a minute. How to become a real estate agent. I got on Google and I learned that it didn't take too long to, it's about a 6-week class. And I said, I could do that. I could go help people. And I didn't realize that there was, opportunities to earn a great living in real estate. I was just trying to get by, really kind of oblivious getting into the industry, and just one family at a time, this thing grew. And so what's neat about it too, I mentioned Pedro earlier. Pedro's the guy that put me out of the vehicle. And Pedro's the guy that really helped me through that situation with the psychologist that day. Pedro, when he needed a hand, I called Pedro up as my real estate business started growing, and invited him to come work with us. And still to this day, Pedro, he's our director of logistics at our company. He's here. I just met with him about 5 minutes before our talk today. And so to still have him by my side
Yeah.
It keeps me and him both in check to remember that this bond that was created on a battlefield, that it's something that is just so profound. Behind me, sir, you can see I keep this here. It's the gear that I was wearing that night.
No way.
Pedro grabbed
No
the
way.
this this is the gear. If you can see the blood from when
Look at
my
that.
head cracked
Yeah.
open, Pedro grabbed me by the back of this and dragged me out of a burning vehicle.
Explain
I
why
keep
why you keep that.
Well, because every day that I have the honor of walking in here, it's just another touch point. It's a reminder, and it's for me. I walk in this building every single day of my life, and it reminds me of my why. Like what I have, my purpose is. And it's the same reason why I wear this bracelet. And just
Do you think that that you will always need reminding? Like I always wondered, bad stuff happened to me and I'm injured and it's difficult at the moment. And I always wonder, will there come a time where it just feels like normal day, like it used to again? And I think it won't. Like I think it will constantly be every day you'll have to push through. You will have to find a reason. So I've just only recently started to think that. I mean, do you think that it will forever be for you? You will forever be reminding yourself. You will forever have to keep getting that motivation.
Well, I feel that this is a part of my life, and it will always remain a part of my life by choice. I'm not going to be one that, even if there was a pathway to allow me to forget it, I am not going to ever forget.
Do you go back there? Do you try and remember some of the difficult times?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons as to why I keep such a profound piece of gear right there. It's why I carry this bracelet with me everywhere. And I feel that I have a duty as well to these men and their families to honor their legacy everywhere I go, every step I take. I made a Facebook post about I don't know, 2 months ago. Every year we do this big Christmas party for our agents. It's kind of a big thing. It's pretty damn expensive. I'm sorry, but every year that we do this, we have a POW MIA lost in action table for those that can't be there, and we're at this big fancy place, and the most center spot, the most prime real estate in the whole place is a table for Brad, Sean, Josh, and Rasul. Like, no matter where I go, like they're with me.
Yeah. I remember. I try to remember the day and the attack as well every day.
Yep.
I never want to forget it. I think it's just essential. So it's interesting because this one guy, this real estate agent, he gave you this direction. He sort of stepped out of his way to help you. Just wonder, do you think that is rare in society, that not enough people are reaching out to help others?
I don't know if it's rare. In my journey, I've experienced a lot of kindness, a lot of people that have done things without the expectation of anything in return. My experience with this man, I think that he was just doing the right thing. He's like, hey, I can sell this house to this guy that he wants, or I could take a little risk and not sell anything, but the positive, profound impact it'll have on him in the future will be worth it. And in this case, that was the right decision for him. I think that there's just a tremendous amount of kind people out there, and I think that I've experienced such. I've been very fortunate in that regard. So.
We'll be back in a moment with Searching for Heroes. What would you say to people who are going through something difficult? Those people who maybe haven't found the resilience to push on through. How would you motivate them today?
Well, I think that there's always somebody that's got it worse. There's always some example of somebody that has experienced a journey similar to yours that has got through it. Find those people, reach out to them, learn from them, and use that as rocket fuel. And I would say look deep into the your heart, and really think about those that depend on you. Really think about the opportunity of life that we all have. That we all have different beliefs and so forth, but to be blessed with the opportunity of a life as we know it is it's just such a huge thing, and so I don't take any day for granted. I'm going to do everything that I can every single day of my life to live the greatest life I can. I'll give you an example too. Like one day I was having a lot of leg pain, and I was about to reach in my bag and grab a pain pill. And this wasn't too long ago. This was about a year ago. And given everything that's happened to me, and I'm sure you experience this, you have pain. When your body's ripped up and mangled, you have pain. And I was sitting there, and one of the ladies that works in the front, she comes back and she says, "Hey, Levi, there's a gentleman here to see you." And I'm like, "What's his name?" She said, "Will Lyles." And in walks a man with no legs, a really good friend of mine from the Army who's a bilateral above the knee amputee. And I'm sitting there, and perspective just smacked me in the face as I was about to reach in my bag and grab that pain pill that I knew that I shouldn't have taken. And in walks a man that would love to have my leg pain. And so, if you don't have those moments of perspective in front of you, seek them out. For in my journey, they keep smacking me in the face. I don't know what it is, but it seems to come at the right time for me. And Will walked in that day, and I was like, I needed to just, rub my legs in the dirt here and be okay with it. You know what I mean? And like these little interactions of kindness and people that have come into my life, like that, like Gary, and something I failed to mention that those pictures that were on the wall when I woke up from the coma, um, complete strangers, and a guy named Craig Coker, who I didn't know yet. My 7-year-old son was having a birthday right after I got blown up. I was blown up on the 15th of September. His birthday was the 29th. I was still in a coma. The single most impactful act of benevolence I've ever seen in my life was complete strangers in the community of San Antonio coming together to give my young boy a birthday party. And like I see houses given away. I've seen all this other stuff that people do for people, but like they took the time to put a smile on my son's face.
Levi, someone came to my room at BAMC. I was in the burn unit at the ICU, and they put up pictures of my kids as well. And I had that same moment when I woke up and I saw them there. And I was pretty drugged up at the time. And at first I thought someone had taken them, and I was panicked, and I got up and I was trying to fight back, and I was like, where are they? Where are they? And they had to hold me down as well at the time. It's exactly the same situation as you. And after a while, I realized someone had just tried to come in and put up pictures of my family to make me feel at home and make me feel relaxed. And it was just the most incredible moment for me at that one time. And can I ask, what do you tell your what do you speak to your children about? How do you talk to your son about?
My oldest son, it's hard, because he was there. The unit didn't think I was going to live, and usually they'll call when there's an injury, and they'll come when there's a death, and but the unit, they sent the guys in the uniforms and knocked on the door. And so he was there when that happened. My oldest son, he's about to graduate college now, but he certainly has experienced a different journey than my youngest son. He's my youngest son was 1 at the time, and so that's we don't particularly talk about it too much. My oldest boy and I, my youngest son, he's very attracted to the military as well, and so we'll see what happens. I do have to tell you something too. I have a daughter now. She was just born. She was born on the 15th of September. Thank you.
Wow, you're kidding?
No, it was wild. The ICU nurse, or not the ICU, the nurse that was in the head nurse in the delivery room. She was like staring at me like kind of weirdly in the beginning. We're in the delivery room, and Aria, my baby, she's coming out, whatever. And the nurse keeps looking at me and she's looking down at my bracelet. And I'm like, it's kind of a weird moment, but she's recognizes me, I think, and I'm like, okay, maybe we sold a house or something to her or whatever, Well, anyways, a few hours later, a buddy of mine who I was in Afghanistan with when I was wounded, he was like, "Hey, Levi, did you have a baby?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why?" He's like, "My sister was your OR nurse," and I was like, "Oh, cool." But what was neat about it, when I was in the coma, his sister worked over at BAMC. She was the nurse giving the unit updates about me.
A community.
And she was there. It's crazy.
How do you explain that your daughter was born on September 15th?
I don't know. I don't know. When I made a Facebook post about that, and there was a lot of deep conversations on there. But I don't know. There's certainly. Maybe there's some sort of religious intervention. Maybe it's chance. I don't know. But the effect it's happened on me, it's been huge. It just keeps me going. And I can't wait till she understands the story and the significance, because she's just a baby now. She was born this year, and so. I can't wait to tell her the story as well.
Wow.
And
is there anything else that you want to add? We can pop these in anyway later, but
no, I mean, I've got a million stories. We can go on for like four hours on this stuff, and so I don't want to mess your day up. But I would not have what I have today and what I enjoy today without the kindness and generosity of others. Certainly it's my name on the wall, et cetera, et cetera. But, it's been so many wonderful people that have come through my life. And the other thing I think is important to mention too is that, the VA and the military get a bad rap, in my opinion. There's certainly room for improvement always, but the United States military flew a plane to Germany with the burn team to fly me back at a chance of somebody who probably wasn't going to live, to give him an opportunity to live. I was back from a point of injury in San Antonio, Texas in less than 72 hours.
Yeah.
The government took really good care of me, and still to this day has. And
they did the same. They did the same to me, Levi. I mean, despite the accent, I'm an American. I was born, raised in American. They flew the whole lot over. They got me to Landstuhl. They came to find me. They grabbed me. And I can't stop thinking about it. I don't think there's another country in the world that will lay itself down anywhere across the world to come and help you. One guy. Little me stuck over there. They came to find me. And I was blessed to be taken and put into BAMC, and treated in military medicine. But I just looked around myself every day and thought, there is no other country in the world that can do this and can for its people.
Yeah, and it's something so amazing. Yeah, and I think that our government gets a bad rap, and the bad stories get highlighted really fast. But there's so many positive stories, like the commitment that our government, at least in my journey, has had to helping giving me an opportunity of life was profound. And from the doctors, the nurses, everybody along my journey it's been pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So
nice, good man. Hey, Levi, thanks so much. I'm going to come and see you in San Antonio.
Oh yeah, you let me know. We'll have a great time.
Well, what an incredible man. And again, a story I've heard so many times, someone who was almost gone, who was heading down, into a really dark place in life, but found something to turn that around, to motivate them. And Levi has gone on to do incredible things afterwards. And I think I'm just trying to figure out, what is that one moment? What is that motivation? Why do some people have it and other people don't? So, listen to what he says. He's gone on to do incredible things, big real estate guy at the moment. And so a lot of the work he does to help other people. But a lot of similarities between our own treatment as well. You listen to how he was surrounded by people at the Brooke Army Medical Center, how they went out of the way to provide pictures of his family around him. And I feel that as well. I feel that it is community. I feel fully that there's more good in the world than there is bad. And if we can keep looking for that, we can keep pulling it out, then that is going to make us stronger. And hopefully it's going to help other people get through something that is difficult. But, a tribute to all the guys who died that day in his vehicle. I know that they will stick with him forever, and we must never forget them. And of course, Pierre, Sasha, the two Ukrainians who died in my car that day as well. I know that Pierre and Sasha would want us, as Levi said, to keep going and making the best of our life, and that they would be disappointed if we did it in any other way. So thanks for listening, guys. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you next time. Listen ad-free with a Fox News Podcasts Plus subscription on Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Prime members can listen to this show ad-free on the Amazon Music app.